Guess what, everybody? Baseball is back, and I am here to teach you how to bet on baseball, and most importantly, what are the most profitable baseball betting strategies. So at the end of this video, you will have the tools to be a profitable sports bettor, specifically when it comes to be betting on the MLB. As for me, my name is Matt Modi. I am a content producer and betting analyst for OddsJam.com. I'm also a power user of OddsJam, so a lot of the strategies I talk about are strategies that I have actually enacted myself to become a profitable sports bettor. For those of you watching this, I would appreciate it if you could take the time to like the video, comment, and let me know your thoughts. Good, bad, ugly, whatever it may be. Let me know what you think of the video. And then, of course, if you could subscribe to my YouTube channel. I have a ton of helpful educational videos such as this. And then I also post daily picks as well using the OddsJam software to find profitable bets. So a subscription to my YouTube channel, turn those notifications on, incredibly beneficial to you. And then, of course, if you want, you can find me on social media at my Twitter handle, JediModi, where I post a bunch of stuff there as well. Some sports betting education, some nonsense, and then some picks as well, because unfortunately, not everything can get on a YouTube video. But as I mentioned, for this video, I'm going to teach you the skills of how to bet on baseball. First, talking about literally how to actually bet on it, like what are the different markets and stuff. And then, most importantly, what are some profitable betting strategies? So when it comes to betting on the MLB, they have three main markets that are very similar to the main markets of literally every sport. Every major sport are going to have some sort of variation of these three main markets. They are, in baseball, the run line, the money line, and the total. Now, I'm going to detail what every single one of these markets mean. Run line is also called the spread, is when you are betting on how many runs a team is going to win by. The money line is when you are betting on a team to win straight up, literally just wins the game straight up. Doesn't matter if it's in extras, however many runs they win by, whatever it may be, just that they're winning straight up. And then the total is when you are betting on an over or under amount of runs scored in the game. So I have provided a screenshot here of what these three main markets look like on the most popular betting platform in the world. That would be FanDuel. So what we see here on the far left, the game is the Yankees versus the Giants. And the first column we see is the run line. So again, this is where you are betting not on who is going to win straight up, but how many runs a team is going to win by. So we see next to the Yankees, the minus 1.5 plus 126. So what this means is that the Yankees are favored by 1.5 runs, meaning that the Yankees would have to win by 2 or more runs in order for you to win your run line, your spread bet on the Yankees. So if they win by 1 or if they lose straight up, then you lose your bet. The plus 126 that you see below, those are the odds of the bet. So in this case, the Yankees run line of minus 1.5 has the odds of plus 126. Whenever you're looking at a run line, the minus is always going to dictate the favorite. In this case, obviously the minus 1.5 means the Yankees are the favorite. And then if we look above that, we see the Giants at plus 1.5. That means they are the underdog. So if you place a spread bet on the Giants at plus 1.5, that means they could either lose by 1 or they could win straight up and you would win your spread bet. If they lose by 2 or more, then you would lose your spread bet. The odds that you see under that, the minus 152, those are the odds of this individual spread bet. So obviously, as we can see, backing the favorite, in this case the Yankees, does give you better odds, right? Plus 126 means you risk $100, you profit 126. But it's obviously a lot more risky. Instead of just needing to win straight up, they need to win by 2 or more. And then the flip side of that is the underdog. So using the run line is a good way to back the underdog with a higher percent chance of winning your bet. So you can back the underdog in this case, and they could actually lose by 1, and you would still win your spread bet. But obviously the odds reflect that as well. The minus 152 means that you would have to risk $152 to profit 100. So the payout isn't as high, but you're paying for that because the bet is more likely to hit. Now, going one column over is the money line. As I mentioned, this is the easiest bet to make in all of sports. You're literally just betting on who is going to win the match straight up. So the minus, again, dictates the favorite. In this case, we see the Yankees at minus 180. That means that you have to risk $180 to profit 100. But if the Yankees win, then you would win your bet. The plus obviously dictates the underdog. So we see the plus 152 for the Giants. That means you would risk $100 to profit 152 if the Giants won. So we see like the difference between the spread and the money line, right? The minus is always going to dictate the favorite in terms of the spread, the minus 1.5, and then also for the money line as well. The plus is always going to dictate the underdog for both like the plus 1.5 and then the plus odds as well. And then obviously the bigger the number, the bigger the favorite. So if the Yankees were minus 2.5, they would be, obviously that would be a bigger favorite. If they were minus 250 on the money line, that would mean they are a bigger favorite. And then the same is true for the underdog. The bigger the number, the bigger the underdog. And then the total on the far right, as I mentioned, you are just betting on how many runs are going to be scored in the game, over or under. So we see in this case, the over-under is set at 6.5. That means if you bet the over, you would need 7 or more runs to be scored. Or if you bet the under, you would need 6 or fewer runs to be scored. And then the odds are right next to it. The over is priced at minus 115. The under is priced at minus 105. That is what the total is. You're literally just betting on how many runs are going to be scored. So if you're watching a game, you're not sure who's going to win, but you know or you have confidence that there's going to be a lot or not a lot of runs scored. Guess what? Just bet the total. You can still get some action in the game. But when it comes to betting on baseball, there are a ton more options outside of just the 3 main markets, which I will get into. The first type of market you can bet on that is not a main market is something called an alternate market. Now I have a screenshot here of an example of a bunch of different alternate markets. This could be like an alternate run line or an alternate total. So if you remember, the spread was priced at 1.5 and the total was priced at 6.5. But if you click the alternate spread or alternate total button, you can bet on a different spread or a different total. And then obviously the odds will be different to reflect that. So if you think that way more than 6.5 runs are going to be scored, you could set the over under at 8.5 and get much better odds taking the over 8.5. And obviously the opposite is true for the run line and for the under as well. But there are a bunch of different alternate markets you can bet on in baseball. I do want to highlight the one at the very bottom here we see, first inning total runs. This is honestly probably the most popular bet to make in all of baseball. And it's just yes run or no run first inning, Yerfy or Nerfy. It's a lot of fun betting on the total runs in the first inning because guess what? You watch one inning and your bet has been decided good or bad. So that is one of the markets that I definitely wanted to highlight, the yes run, no run first inning. And then there are also player props that you can bet on in baseball as well. These are both batter props and pitcher props. Now I have a screenshot of both of these types of props, as you can see from FanDuel. Pretty much the logic is if there is a stat in baseball, you can probably bet on it. Records a hit, records 2 hits, hits a home run, hits an RBI, over under total bases. And then on the pitcher side, it's total outs, it's strikeouts, it's how many innings, it's stuff like that. But again, if there is a stat that is calculated in baseball, you can probably bet on it. And the screenshots you see here are an example of both batter and pitcher props. And then there are futures you can bet on in the MLB. As you can see on the screenshot here, there are a ton of different options here as well. You can bet on the winner of the World Series. What division will the winner of the World Series be? Who will make it to the World Series? How about win totals over under? You can also bet on player awards, MVP, Silver Slugger, Gold Glove, Cy Young, stuff like that are future bets. All that really means is you're betting on something that is going to take place in the future. Normally it is after the season. So I love betting on futures. If there's a team that you really like, guess what? You bet their future, you can root for them for the entire season. And a lot of times, depending on what future you are betting, the payouts can be really high as well. As you can see, the Astros are the favorite to win the World Series, but they're all the way up at plus 600 odds. So if you bet $100 on the Astros to win the World Series, you would profit $600. So those are the main bets that you can make in baseball. There are the main markets of spread / run line, the money line, and the total. And then there are also alternate markets. First inning total runs, over under, yes run or no run first inning. You can also bet on first half total runs, first half run line, stuff like that. Then there are both batter and pitcher player props. that you can bet, and then, of course, futures. And I will say odds for all of these bets are available on OddsJam. So if you're ever curious about what the odds are or you're looking for a bet, just hit up oddsjam.com and you can find it. Now, in terms of baseball betting strategies, right? Now that you know how to bet on baseball, let me teach you how to make money betting on baseball, because that's obviously the most important thing, right? The first thing that I wanted to talk about when it comes to baseball is the weather, because more than any sport, the weather has a huge impact on baseball, both the temperature and the wind. So I'm going to start with the temperature. So when we think of baseball, what do we think of? Hot, muggy days in the summer. And I will say, yes, in general, heat leads to more runs. The reason why, the hotter the temperature is, the farther the ball travels, which means that more home runs are hit. So the cutoff point here is 90 degrees. If you look at games that are played in 90 degrees or hotter, on average, significantly more runs are scored in games that have a temperature of 90 degrees or hotter. So when you are looking to bet on a total, one strategy is look for games specifically that are projected to be played in a hot temperature. And then what you want to do is line shop to find the best odds. So if there is a sports book like a FanDuel that is giving you a really good price on an over total runs in a game that is 90 degrees or hotter, that is something that you are going to want to bet, right? That is going to be a profitable betting strategy. Now, yes, in general, cold leads to fewer runs, but there's not enough sample size of cold games or anything like that to have a profitable betting strategy. So when it comes to temperature, the main strategy here is to look for games that are 90 degrees or hotter, and then look for them to go over. Now, the next topic that I want to talk about regarding the weather is the wind. And there are two different types of wind direction. It can be blowing out of the ballpark, meaning balls are likely to go farther, which leads to more home runs. And then there is wind blowing in, meaning balls are less likely to travel far, which means fewer runs. So the biggest trend when it comes to weather is you're going to want to look for games where the wind is blowing in, and then you're going to want to take that to go under. So this has been tracked for the past 15 years. And only one of those 15 years did blindly betting the under on games where the wind was blowing in did it not result in a win percentage above 50%. Another way of saying that is 14 out of the last 15 years, it was a profitable betting strategy to blindly bet the under of every single game where the wind was blowing in. Now, of course, the opposite is true with the wind blowing out. Granted, it wasn't as profitable as the strategy of the wind blowing in, but if you were to look at the wind of a game and then look for specific situations where the wind was blowing out, that is also a profitable betting strategy to blindly bet the over. Again, not as good as the under, but still a good play. But in any case, when you're talking about these types of situations, you always want to make sure that you are line shopping and finding the best odds. So don't just see what FanDuel has, but compare the entire markets, because you'd be surprised at what type of line discrepancies you may find just from line shopping. But I will say one last point regarding specifically the strategy of wind blowing out. There are two stadiums where that actually doesn't apply, and you wouldn't want to bet the over. And those two stadiums are the Oakland Athletics and the Los Angeles Angels. So if you just remove those two stadiums from the sample size, your ROI would literally double just from blindly betting the over. So the one case where the wind is blowing out and you don't want to tail are home games for the Oakland Athletics and the Los Angeles Angels. Now, those are two specific weather betting strategies. There are also betting strategies that involve looking at the umpire. One unfortunate reality of baseball is that the umpires have a huge impact on how the game is played. Some umpires have really strict strike zones, some of them have really soft. And it is a legitimate betting strategy to look at the trends of individual umpires to see if that relates to overs or unders, or maybe home teams versus away teams, or maybe strikeout props for individual pitchers. If you have a pitcher that is going against an umpire that has a very generous strike zone, meaning calls more strikes than other umpires, then you're going to want to bet the over strikes for that pitcher. But looking at the umpires is very, very important when it comes to a lot of different props, batters, pitchers, run lines, totals, everything. The umpires, unfortunately, have a huge deal when it comes to that. And that's pretty much it. So we've learned how to bet on baseball. We've learned what are the profitable baseball betting strategies. So I'm confident those of you that have finished this video are ready to make money betting on baseball. Again, if you have any feedback, please do not hesitate to let me know. Comment, let me know your feedback. Like, comment, subscribe. Helps me out a ton. But that's it. So I enjoy everybody watching, and have a good one.